Welcome, movie enthusiasts. Ready for a deep dive into the biggest releases hitting cinemas this week? November 22nd is going to be huge.
Huge is an understatement. 5 major films dropping on the same day. Talk about a cinematic overload.
Well, let's break it down for our listeners, shall we? First up, we've got Gladiator 2, the sequel nobody thought we'd ever see.
Yeah, Ridley Scott back in the director's chair with Paul Mescal taking on the lead role as Lucius, the kid from the original film.
I remember him. And Denzel Washington's in this one too, right?
Oh, yeah, which is super interesting casting. I mean, Denzel usually plays these morally upright characters. It'll be fascinating to see how that plays out in the often morally ambiguous world of ancient Rome.
Plus, did you hear about that crazy alternate Gladiator script that was floating around for years?
Oh, you mean the one with Maximus time traveling to World War II?
That's the one. Can you imagine?
Talk about a wild ride. But let's get back to the Gladiator 2 we're actually getting. Early buzz suggests it's more of a political thriller than a straight-up action flick.
Okay, interesting. Moving on to something a little lighter, we've got Wicked Part 1. Finally, the beloved Broadway musical is hitting the big screen.
With Ariana Grande as Glinda and Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba. And the visuals are supposed to be absolutely breathtaking.
John M. Chu is directing, right?
He is. And he's got a real knack for spectacle. Remember those amazing dance sequences in the Heights?
Oh, yeah. Those were incredible.
Well, get ready for even more visual magic in Wicked. Apparently, the costume designer created over 100 different costumes for Elphaba alone, each one reflecting her transformation throughout the story.
Wow. That's dedication. All right, let's switch gears to something a bit grittier. Armor, starring Silvester Stallone as a security guard caught in you guessed it, an armored truck heist gone wrong.
Classic Stallone. But this one has a fun little connection to his past work. He's teaming up again with actor Jeff Chase, who was also in the Escape Plan movies.
Oh, right. They were pretty fun.
What intrigues me about Armor, though, is the setting. Apparently, most of the action takes place on a bridge.
Ooh, that sounds claustrophobic.
Exactly. Should make for a really tense and intense atmosphere.
Okay, now for something completely different. Bonhoeffer, pastor, spy, assassin. This one tells the true story of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German theologian who resisted the Nazi regime.
A powerful story of courage and conviction. And what's interesting is the director, Todd Komarnicki, this is his first feature film in over 20 years.
Wow, that's quite a comeback.
It is. And the last film on our list is Never Look Away. This documentary follows the life of CNN camerawoman Margaret Moth, who fearlessly covered war zones all over the world.
A true trailblazer. I've read about her work.
Her footage is incredible, really captures the horrors and humanity of war.
And the director of this documentary is, get this, Lucy Lawless. Ziana. Warrior Princess.
Whoa, talk about a change of pace. From warrior princess to documentary filmmaker, that's pretty cool.
It is. So there you have it, folks. 5 wildly different films hitting theaters on the same day. November 22nd is going to be a busy one.
A cinematic smorgasbord. And with award season right around the corner, it'll be interesting to see which of these films make a splash with critics and audiences.
I can't wait to see how it all unfolds.
So you mentioned you're a big fan of historical epics.
Although, absolutely.
Yeah.
Give me swords and sandals any day.
Well, let's dive a little deeper into Gladiator 2. This one's got a lot to live up to after the success of the original.
No kidding. Gladiator was a phenomenon. Won Best Picture at the Oscars, didn't it?
And Best Actor for Russell Crowe. Talk about iconic.
So what's different this time around? What's Ridley Scott bringing to the table that's new, besides just, nostalgia?
Well, for one, the focus seems to be more on legacy. It's not just about the gladiatorial combat itself, but about the impact that Maximus had on those around him even years after his death.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like exploring the ripples of his actions, the consequences, and how those shape the lives of the characters in this new story.
So it's less about replicating the action of the original and more about delving into the aftermath.
Exactly. And that's where Paul Mescal's character Lucius comes in. He was just a boy in the first film, saved by Maximus. Now he's all grown up, trying to forge his own path in the shadow of this legendary figure.
I see. A coming-of-age story set against the backdrop of ancient Rome.
And of course, we can't forget the visuals. Ridley Scott's known for his epic scale and stunning production design.
Oh, I've heard they built an entire replica of the Colosseum for some of the battle scenes.
No way.
Yeah, pretty incredible. They spared no expense, it seems.
That's dedication to authenticity right there.
But for me, it all comes down to the story and the characters. The action can be amazing, but if there's no heart, no emotional depth, then it's just empty spectacle.
Agreed. And that's what makes Denzel Washington's casting so intriguing. He always brings such depth and gravitas to his roles.
Right. I'm dying to know more about his character. There are rumors he might be playing a mentor figure to Lucius, almost like a surrogate Maximus.
Ooh, that would be fascinating. A seasoned warrior guiding a young man on his journey.
Right. I could already see the Oscar clips playing in my head.
And with Ridley Scott at the helm, I'm sure those scenes will be incredibly powerful.
Okay, I'm sold. Gladiator 2 is definitely on my must-watch list. But we've got 4 other movies premiering on the same day.
Let's not forget about them. Wicked. Part 1 is Calling Your Name, isn't it?
Oh, it is. I'm a huge fan of the musical. I've seen it on stage multiple times.
So, what are you most excited to see in the film adaptation?
Well, the music, of course. Wicked has some of the most iconic songs in musical theater.
Definitely. And I've heard they've stayed true to the original score while also adding a few new songs specifically for the film.
Oh, that's cool. But also the transformation scenes, how they'll portray Elphaba becoming the Wicked Witch of the West.
Oh yeah, on stage it's all done with lighting and costumes, but with CGI they can really go all out.
Exactly. Imagine her green skin and the flying broomstick.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
And then, of course, there's the casting. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are both incredible singers and actresses.
And they have great chemistry together from what I've seen in the trailers.
I think that's what makes Wicked so special. The relationship between Glinda and Elphaba, it's so complex and layered.
It's about friendship, ambition, and finding your place in the world, even if your paths diverge.
Exactly. It's a story that resonates on so many levels. And John M. Chu, the director, he has such a great eye for visual storytelling.
He does, and he's great at capturing the energy and emotion of musical performances.
Okay, yeah, I'm officially excited about this one. Wicked has the potential to be truly magical.
Okay, let's switch gears again, shall we? To something a little grittier, Armor, the Stallone action thriller.
This one seems different from his usual fare, right?
It does. It's more of a contained thriller than a big, bombastic action movie.
Right. I mean, most of it takes place on a bridge.
Which is a really interesting setting. Adds a layer of claustrophobia and tension.
I read that Stallone's character is a security guard haunted by a past trauma. So it's not just mindless action, there's some psychological depth there.
Right. He's wrestling with his own demons while also trying to survive this heist gone wrong.
And they cast Jeff Chase, who's a real-life martial arts expert, so I'm expecting some intense fight choreography.
Oh, definitely. It's going to be a brutal battle for survival in a very confined space.
The early reviews I've seen have been surprisingly positive. They say Armor is suspenseful and character-driven.
That's good to hear. Sounds like Stallone's trying to push himself as an actor and explore something new.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on to Bonhoeffer. Pastor, spy, assassin.
Yeah.
This one really caught my eye.
Oh, yeah. Bonhoeffer's story is incredible. He was a man of incredible courage and conviction.
And what's fascinating is that he was a pacifist at heart. He didn't believe in violence, but he felt compelled to act against the Nazis, even if it meant going against his own principles.
It's such a complex moral dilemma, and the fact that it's a true story makes it even more powerful.
I was reading about the director, Todd Kamarnicki. He hasn't directed a feature film in over 20 years.
I know. His last film was Resistance, which also dealt with World War II, but from a completely different angle.
Right. So he's returning to familiar territory, but with a new story to tell.
I'm really curious to see what he does with Bonhoeffer. It's a story that deserves to be told, and told well.
Okay, and last but not least, we have Never Look Away, the documentary about Margaret Moth.
A truly remarkable woman, one of the first female war reporters to cover conflicts on the front line.
And her footage is just incredible, raw and unflinching. It really captures the realities of war.
And she paid a heavy price for her work. She was injured multiple times and witnessed things that most people can't even imagine.
But she never stopped doing what she believed in. She was dedicated to telling the truth no matter the cost.
And what I find interesting about this documentary is that Lucy Lawless, the director, focuses not just on Moth's work, but also on her personal journey.
Right. She really tries to understand what drove her, what motivated her to keep going back into these dangerous situations.
It's about resilience and the human spirit's ability to endure even in the face of unimaginable horrors.
Wow. Okay, I'm adding this one to my list too. So we've got 5 films, each one unique and compelling, all premiering on the same day.
Talk about a cinematic feast.
It's going to be a tough choice for moviegoers, that's for sure.
But a good problem to have, right? So many incredible stories to choose from. So, are you ready for November 22nd? Because I know I am.
Oh, my calendar is marked. And my popcorn is ready.
It's going to be a tough choice, though, right? Deciding which film to see first.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gladiator's cat is calling to my inner history buff. But then Wicked has that irresistible musical magic.
And don't forget Armor, with its gritty psychological thrills. And Bonhoeffer, a story of incredible courage in the face of tyranny.
Oh, and Never Look Away. A powerful reminder of the importance of truth and the people who risk everything to bring it to light.
Wow, you've just encapsulated the whole week's lineup perfectly. 5 films, 5 distinct journeys, each offering a unique perspective on the world and the human experience.
It's a testament to the power of cinema, wouldn't you say? To transport us to different worlds, introduce us to unforgettable characters, and make us feel things we never expected to feel.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to all our listeners out there, get ready for a week of cinematic immersion. Embrace the variety, explore the stories, and let yourselves be swept away by the magic of movies.
And be sure to join us next week for another deep dive into the new releases as we inch closer and closer to award season.
We'll be back with week 48 and all the cinematic gems it has to offer. Until then, happy viewing.